Alright mate, how you doing and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be doing my 500k subscribers special. I asked you guys what you wanted to see when I hit this special landmark and you guys said a Draw My Life video. I haven't done one before, so I thought I'd try one. But before I start, I just want to say a massive thank you to all of you that have subscribed to me so far. It's been an amazing journey. I've loved every single minute of it. I can't believe I've got 500,000 subscribers. It's mental, and let's get on with the Draw My Life. So let's start at the beginning. I was actually born at home in a place called Westcliff-on-Sea in Essex. The house I was born in overlooked a football stadium called Roots Hall, the home of Southend United. Perhaps that's why even now I still feel at ease at the sight of a football pitch. When I was 6 months old, my family moved to Brentwood, also in Essex, and luckily they decided to take me with them. One of my earliest memories is of a name my older brother used to call me. I'd been born with a tiny piece of my right ear missing, and as a result he used to call me Half Ear. I remember at the time that it bothered me, but as I grew up I realised that it wasn't that big a deal. I started to see my ear as half full instead of half empty. A small distinction, but a very important one. I'm part of a family of 5, and all our names begin with S. I'm Spencer, my dad is Steve, my mum is Cindy, and my brothers are called Sebastian and Saunders. Apparently I was very nearly called Steed. I think I dodged a bullet on that one. Believe it or not, I wasn't actually football crazy right away. It was other games besides the beautiful one that kept me occupied for my early childhood. My first gaming experience was playing Duck Hunt on my brother's Nintendo, but it wasn't until age 10 when I was struck down with a mysterious illness that my love of playing games really started to blossom. Glandular fever, or the kissing disease as some call it due to the way it can be easily spread. What can I say? I was a real stud muffin age 10, whilst attending an all-boys school. I ended up missing a whole term of school due to the viral illness. I was constantly tired and struggled to get out of bed. It was at this time that in an attempt to try and raise my spirits, my mum brought me my first ever games console, the N64, and along with it came 2 of mankind's best ever inventions, Mario Kart and GoldenEye. I was sleeping a solid 14 hours a day at this point due to fatigue, but you can bet if I was awake, I was holding a controller. I was obsessed. If I wasn't Bond, I was Bowser. It was paradise. Eventually though, I returned to normality and went back to school. Whilst I'd shaken my illness, getting rid of my newfound video game addiction wouldn't be so easy. In fact, it's a condition that still plagues me today. I followed up my N64 romance with a prolonged affair with Pikachu on my Game Boy. Next came a series of flings with pretty much every wrestling game ever made. I then had a brief but intense experience with a Dreamcast. The connection was there, but the timing was all wrong. Finally though, I met my life partner, my soulmate, football games. FIFA 98 was my first, on the PC. My brother pulled rank and got to use the keyboard. I was stuck with a mouse. It was an impossible task. I lost a lot, but I think I learned something from those losses. When a few years later I was introduced to Championship Manager, now known as Football Manager, my fate was sealed. I knew then that these games would have me under their thumb for eternity. It was around this time that I started playing proper football too. Whilst I loved video games, when I moved to secondary school, I found that playing real life sport actually topped it. Whether I was kicking a ball around in the garden with my brothers, representing my school, or my Sunday team, I just wanted to play constantly. I wanted to be forever immersed in the football world. If I couldn't be kicking a real football, I'd be kicking a virtual one. At sixth form, I changed schools. I'd done pretty well in my GCSEs and I had the opportunity to move to a really good school that was a lot nearer my house. My new school was called Kegs. It was in Chelmsford, where we'd recently moved to from Brentwood, and I had an amazing 2 years there. My highlight had to be getting elected into a prestigious school debating society called the Fleur de Lis that was really just a student-run comedy club where we'd meet up every week to complain about our teachers and take the mick out of each other. It was a whole new experience for me, standing in front of my peers and trying to make them laugh. That, coupled with a bit of time volunteering on hospital radio, had helped implant a newfound passion for entertainment in me. By the time I went to university, I went to Reading by the way, I already knew that traditional education didn't have a lot more it could offer me. I wanted to go out and live and experience things rather than be lectured to. As a result, I spent a large chunk of my uni time on trains to open mic gigs in London, trying to climb the stand-up comedy ladder, in between playing football of course. It was also at university that I uploaded my first ever video to YouTube. I quickly got the bug and began uploading a load of different comedy sketches and silly videos. My football mates thought it was weird at first, but I didn't care. I loved it. There was another event that happened at university that would end up being extremely significant in my life, although I didn't know it at the time. Towards the end of my first term in halls, there was a leak in my room. Water was dripping down from the ceiling and damaging all my stuff. As a result, I had to move rooms temporarily. My new room was pretty much exactly the same as my old one, except for one big difference. I'd been moved from an all-boys floor to an all-girls floor, and my mates were very jealous of this prime piece of real estate that I'd secured. I was behind enemy lines. My new neighbour was a girl called Alex, who I quickly became friends with, but it wasn't until 3 years later, after we'd graduated, that we'd do the impossible and escape the friend zone and start going out. We've now been together for 4.5 years and have a YouTube channel together, youtube.com/Ben and Alex. Feel free to check it out, it's top quality. After graduating with a degree in English literature that I was almost certain I would never put to good use, I continued performing stand-up for another year. I had the pleasure of performing in the same lineup as heroes of mine such as Stephen Merchant and Kevin Bridges, but then one day, after driving up to Lincoln for a gig at a student union, I decided to stop. Before the gig, I'd uploaded a comedy sketch to my YouTube channel. When I got back, my video had over 1,000 views. 1,000 people had watched my video. That was crazy. Now that's not a lot by today's standards, but back then that was a big deal for me. Plus, when you consider that I'd just driven for the best part of 7 hours only to perform to about 150 students, it didn't take me long to realise that climbing the traditional stand-up ladder might not be the most efficient route for me. From this point, I knew that YouTube was what I wanted to do. I just needed to find a way of earning a living from it. In the meantime, I got myself a job working as a community manager for a football game on Facebook. My first proper job, and I'd managed to combine football with gaming. Jackpot. I did that for about a year and then moved to my second job, also football based, working for Manchester City and Belgium captain Vincent Kompany. I ran Vincent's social media profiles during the 2011-12 season, the very same season that Manchester City captured their first ever Premier League title. Coincidence? I think not. Whilst working for Vincent, I'd started to make more football-based videos on YouTube in my spare time, as my enthusiasm for the game had grown stronger whilst working in the football industry. At the end of the season, I got the opportunity to go and work for a brand new football YouTube channel called Copper90. Just like my first job, the role seemed tailor-made for me as it combined my two biggest passions, football and YouTube. Over the next 12 months, I was lucky enough to travel the world attending huge football matches and making some great content that I'm really proud of. Eventually, I managed to build up enough of a following on my own channel that I felt safe in leaving full-time employment and putting all my energy towards growing my channel. When I left my full-time job, I had about 30,000 subscribers. It was a gamble, but to see that I've now reached 500,000 makes it all worthwhile. I didn't know if I'd ever get this many, and every single one of my subscribers means the world to me. I never had a life plan or an end goal for all this. Really, I'm still just that same kid that wanted to keep himself immersed in the world of football for as long as possible. And that's exactly what I'm doing. Thanks for watching, and don't go changing.